My wife abandoned me with nothing, and years later, she came back claiming I owed her my success, along with a child I never knew existed. I used to think the loudest sound in a marriage was shouting. I was wrong. It's a zipper closing at midnight, followed by the soft click of a front door that doesn't slam because the person leaving doesn't want to wake you, or doesn't care enough to. That was the night my wife left. No warning, no screaming match, no thrown plates. She stood at the foot of our bed with one suitcase, already zipped, already decided. I remember how calm she looked. Not sad, not angry, relieved, like someone stepping out a long line. I need more, she said. Not we, not us, just I. I asked her if there was someone else. She smiled in a way that told me the answer didn't matter. Then she walked out, and the silence that followed felt heavier than anything she could have said. The first week after she left, I slept on my side of the bed anyway. The second week, I moved to the couch. By the third, I stopped sleeping much at all. I still went to work. I still smiled when people asked how married life was. I still said, good, because anything else felt too complicated to explain. At night, I replayed every conversation we'd ever had, searching for the moment I should have known. That moment never came. Something shifted about 3 months in. I woke up one morning exhausted, hollow, and angry, not at her but at myself. I realized that if I stayed like this, she'd have taken more than just my marriage. She'd have taken the rest of my life, too. So I worked. At first, it was survival. Over time, extra projects. Volunteering for things no one else wanted. I stayed late because going home felt pointless. Then people started noticing. My boss gave me harder assignments. Clients asked for me by name. I stopped counting hours and started counting wins. Every small success felt like oxygen. A year passed. Then 2. I got promoted. I moved out of the apartment we'd shared and into a place that was mine alone. I replaced the couch, the dishes, the pictures on the wall. I replaced the man I'd been. I didn't date much. When I did, it never stuck. I told myself I was busy. The truth was simpler. I didn't trust happiness anymore. By year 4, I was doing better than I ever had while married. I ran in the mornings. I cooked real meals. I slept through the night. Sometimes I even forgot her face. That's when she knocked on my door. It was a Sunday afternoon, bright and quiet. I thought it was a neighbor. When I opened the door and saw her, my body reacted before my mind did. Heart racing, breath gone, hands shaking. She looked different, older, sharper, like someone who'd learned how to survive by cutting first. Well, she said, eyes scanning my house behind me. Looks like leaving you didn't ruin you after all. I should have closed the door. Instead, I stepped aside. She didn't sit. She walked through my living room slowly, touching nothing, cataloging everything. The furniture, the artwork, the calm. When she turned back to me, her smile was tight. You're doing well, she said. I knew you would. I asked her why she was there. She took a breath, like she practiced this. We need to talk about our son. The room went quiet in a way that hurt my ears. I laughed because the alternative was screaming. We don't have a son. Her expression hardened instantly. Yes, we do. I was pregnant when I left. The words didn't land right away. When they did, they hit like a delayed explosion. She told me she found out shortly before leaving. She said she'd been scared, confused, that she didn't want to raise a child in a marriage that wasn't growing. She said he was 4 years old. She said his name. She said he asked about me. Then she said the part she'd really come for. You're successful now. He deserves that stability. I deserve help. I asked for proof. Her eyes flashed. Anger first, then something else. Offense. You think I'd lie about something like this? I didn't answer. That was answer enough. She left that day promising documents, photos, anything I needed. Within hours, my phone filled with messages. Pictures of a little boy who looked vaguely familiar in the way strangers sometimes do. Medical forms. Screenshots. A carefully constructed story. And a demand. I didn't sleep that night. I started checking old calendars. Emails. Travel records. Dates. The math didn't work. According to her timeline, I would have had to be in 2 places at once. That's when I hired a private investigator. I felt ridiculous doing it, like I was overreacting, but something in my gut wouldn't let go. While he worked, my wife escalated. She started showing up places. My gym, My office lobby. Once, she waited by my car and told me not to make this ugly. The investigator called 3 weeks later. The child wasn't mine. Not biologically. Not legally. The birth certificate listed another man. The dates didn't match her story at all. The pregnancy happened after she left. The father disappeared shortly after. When I confronted her, she cried. Then she pleaded. Then she threatened. She told me she'd ruin my reputation. That she'd tell everyone I abandoned my child. That people would believe her because men like me always leave. I told her I had proof. That's when she smiled. The next morning, HR called me in. There had been a complaint. Allegations. They wouldn't tell me more, just that they needed to investigate. When I got home, there was an envelope taped to my door. Inside were photos taken years ago, twisted to look incriminating. A note at the bottom in her handwriting. You should have helped when I asked. My phone rang. It was the investigator, voice tense. There's more, he said. She's done this before. Before I could respond, someone knocked on my door. That's where everything truly began to unravel. I didn't open the door immediately. I checked the camera. A woman I didn't recognize stood there, clutching a folder like a life raft. She introduced herself as a paralegal working with a civil attorney. She said my wife's name and asked if we could talk somewhere private. Inside the folder were court records. Old ones, restraining orders, settlements. 2 other men, different cities, same pattern. She'd attach herself to someone on the way up, leave when things stalled, reappear once they succeeded. Children were always part of the story, sometimes real, sometimes not. Accusations followed when money didn't. The investigator confirmed it. He'd found a trail stretching back nearly a decade. I took everything to a lawyer. As we reviewed the documents, his assistant froze, staring at her screen. She turned it toward us. A new filing had just hit the system. My name was listed as a defendant. Under plaintiff, my wife had added something new. A second child. This time, she claimed the child had been conceived during a reconciliation attempt I knew never happened. The filing included a request for emergency financial support and a motion to notify my employer. My lawyer didn't hesitate. He filed a response within hours, evidence attached, timelines laid bare, affidavits from the investigator and the paralegal. We went on offense. 3 days later, my wife's attorney withdrew from the case. 2 days after that, the court dismissed her emergency motion. But she wasn't done. She showed up one last time at my house at night. She didn't knock. She screamed. She told me I'd ruined her life, that she'd only wanted what she was owed. When I didn't open the door, she threw something in my window and drove off. I filed a police report. The case didn't go to trial. It didn't need to. The evidence was overwhelming. The judge issued a dismissal with prejudice, citing a pattern of fraudulent claims. My lawyer moved for a restraining order. It was granted. My employer cleared me after a full investigation. HR apologized. My boss told me they should have trusted me sooner. As for my wife, she didn't disappear, but she faded. The last I heard, she was facing charges in another state tied to a similar claim. I don't follow it closely anymore. What surprised me most wasn't the relief. It was the quiet that followed. No adrenaline. No anger. Just space. I changed my locks. I took down the old photos. I started sleeping with the windows open. I used to think the worst moment of my life was the night she left. Now I know better. The worst moment was realizing she came back not because she loved me, but because she thought I was finally worth taking from. And the best moment? Realizing she was wrong.
Click on subscribe for more.